Meet me on the mountains. 1,000 years ago, when the Roman soldiers were in the midst of chaos of war and religion, two lovers were about to split apart. With tears on her face and pain in her heart, she held onto her lover's hand as tight as possible. He was in chains on his wrists and his ankles. He was bleeding as the soldiers dragged him and the others condemned to the top of a mountain. At one point he fell to the ground, and his lover kneeled beside him and wiped the blood off of his face and his bare limbs with her long dark hair. Just then he looked to the mountains surrounding them and closed his eyes for a moment. The soldiers were harsh and yelled at him to get up, but he ignored them. He opened his eyes and looked deep into his lover's. He said, "Don't worry, my love." His eyes became moist. "We will meet again. I just heard the angels' whispers." He looked to the mountains and her eyes followed. Remember the mountains, embed it deep into your soul. For it is these mountains you will find me. As soon as he finished, the soldiers pulled him up and dragged him to his destination. His lover, bewildered by his words and frightened by the sight of him leaving her. Soon all was blurry and she fainted. She was only at the age of 5 when her father took her sightseeing. He drove her out of the city and into the countryside filled with rice field and forests. Suddenly her eyes widened. She saw mountains of green etching the sky. She was ecstatic, and her whole being was jumping for joy. She yelled, "Papa, Papa, take me there. I want to be there." Her father laughed and heading towards it. But as they went upward, she was disappointed. She said, "Where did the mountain go?" All she saw was trees, deep green and dark. But since then, mountains have always been her mind. And as soon as she got older and learned how to paint, she painted mountains and then the sea, the only things that gave her peace and serenity. Then one day, thousands of years later, she saw him sitting in front of mountains, playing one of her favorite songs. His smile was so sweet and his eyes were so sincere. She didn't know at the time, but he's back into her life.